There we go. Okay, so welcome to our November Special Needs Advisory Coalition meeting. I'm Sharon Alexander. I'm the CEO at Unicorn Children's Foundation, and we've created this coalition, goodness, 7 years ago. So it's great to have everybody joining us today. Kerry is in the mountains or traveling to the mountains, so I'm not sure if she'll be joining us or not. She's been really taking the lead on putting together this group. But this month we thought it was really important to talk about some of the coalitions or specific focus groups that are happening in Palm Beach County. And I'm going to drive. So I'm going to make everything really short for me right now so I can drive and turn it over. We have our first presenter today is Geeta Loach-Jacobson. She's the Director of Outreach and Community Programming for Palm Beach County Youth Services Department. I have had the pleasure of doing Geeta, I don't even know how many years, as part of the Birth to 22 planning group. I've been representing the special needs priorities and issues on that group. So whatever we've talked about at SNAC, I've taken back to the Birth to 22. So Geeta, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you because I know you've got the first stop, and we'll get going. Are you able to share your screen, or you want me?
I am. Good afternoon, everyone. I can certainly share my screen. So
if not, I have a backup.
Oh, you're so wonderful, but I think I can do it. So a disclaimer to everyone who's on the call. I'm working from home today, and I'm in a very, very hot office. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. I love the thumbs up, Maryellen. That's wonderful. Thank you. So like Sharon said, I am the Director of Outreach and Community Programming with Youth Services Department. But in this particular capacity, I'm the co-chair of the Birth to 22 coordination team. I'm also the co-chair of the Youth Master Plan team, the member of the Birth to 22 engagement team, and I offer direct and indirect supports to all the teams within Birth to 22. So I'm going to start the slideshow because that'll probably be better for everyone. And I understand I have 10 minutes to do this. I usually do this in about 2 hours, so we'll see how quickly I can get through it. So this is really the mission of Birth to 22. And, it really is around healthy growth and development and making sure that our kids are getting the education that they need. But what's important for you to know here is that Birth to 22 is committed to a common agenda, and that we are an alliance of community partners. And what we do is we engage with others, we align existing coalitions, we're not trying to create new ones, and networks and spaces so that everyone can have the conversations to make sure we're connecting with our families, our community members. And what's most important for us is that we're connecting with the young people. So a lot of times you'll hear that we're talking about the steps to success. And Birth to 22, well, where did it come from? It came from really being born healthy all the way to being career ready, because it's important for us to make sure that we are looking at success for that child in every developmental stage of their life. So within Birth to 22, in order for us to do the work, we recognized that we needed a blueprint. We needed a blueprint to set the priorities and to take the action and to move forward with the work that we're doing with the kids. And what we've done is the blueprint that we're using is called our Youth Master Plan. There is a website, Birth to 22 has its website, and within the website, you will see the Youth Master Plan, you'll see all of our data sets, you'll see every single team that's working on the Birth to 22, all of the work that they're doing, including the special needs team. So what do we believe? Oftentimes, as agencies, a member of government, we think that we need to step in and kind of take over, right? But that's not the premise of Birth to 22. We believe our core beliefs is really around everyone doing their part. We believe that, you know, the parents are really the experts for their child. We believe that the kids have the potential, that the community together can thrive and make sure that when we work together, we can meet the expectations for that child and that family. And it's really, really important that we believe in equity, and we believe in the collaboration and the engagement and continuous improvement as we talk about equity. So it's very, very funny. Whenever I see this slide, I remember how it happened to get placed in the Youth Master Plan. It was almost an afterthought, which is really indicative of where we are sometimes, where thinking about our work through equitable lenses is an afterthought. But as the time have passed, and it's been almost 7 years now since the Youth Master Plan was released, we have really made equity part of everything that we're doing. And within equity, we believe that we should be looking at all kids, not just some kids. And we recognize that there are certain populations that are more impacted. And one of those populations is our special need population or LGBTQ population. And it's critical that we pay attention to that. So you're probably wondering, so how did we even get here, right? Why did this even happen? So some of you may remember the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012. And, you know, I feel fortunate to live in Palm Beach County, where we are very progressive and forward thinking most of the time. Because we're not perfect, no one's perfect. And as a result of that, I think a few of our commissioners got together and said, we really need to pay attention to youth violence, and we need to pay attention to what we're seeing with the disengagement of the kid and the family. And we need to really kind of focus on equity. And as a result of those conversations that happened in 2012, the Youth Symposium occurred in 2013, where the leaders came together. That was before my time. I wasn't a part of that, but there were 5 suggestions that came out of that. And one of it was that we create a department that was centrally focused on youth. And that resulted in the creation of the Youth Services Department, which I'm now a part of. Another was transparency and information and strategic planning. And the school district created their strategic plan in 2015, 2016. And the third was the creation of Birth to 22 and the Youth Master Plan. There were a couple others, but you know, I'm focusing on Birth to 22, so we can always talk about that offline. So I mentioned earlier that when we are doing work, we oftentimes think that we know best. And I'm very happy to say that the team of people who worked together, because it was originally 60 agencies that worked together in the creation of the Youth Master Plan, were forward thinking enough to know that just because the data says it in black and white doesn't mean it is so. You need to ask the community what their needs are, what success looks like for them, and what they really need to see happening in their community. So we did just that. We did youth surveys, we talked to CEOs and different departments, and we went out into the community, and we had originally 11 community conversations. And we didn't just do it in the area that was convenient for us. We made sure we did it. We did one at FAU. We did one with a special needs population. We did one at a high school. We did one over at Compass with the LGBTQ population. So we were trying as much as we possibly could to make sure we were including everyone that represent Palm Beach County. And the result of those community conversations demonstrated 6 key themes that came about. The youth survey also talked about the same elements within those 6 themes. And this is the 6 themes that emerged. What the community said to us was, you need to pay attention to these big bucket areas. And it didn't matter if we went to Boca, or we went to Belglade, or Riviera Beach, or Wellington. The 6 themes were the same. We needed to pay attention to economics. We needed to pay attention to social emotional supports, health and wellness, parenting and role model, educational supports and economic access, and out of school time. The communities also felt that more needed to be done to address the home environment, that we needed to look at parent skills development, and we needed to pay attention really closely to emotional supports for caregivers, because oftentimes we're not doing that. And role models, not just for the youth, but for the parents as well. So I talked about the community conversation that occurred in 2016. Since then, we've held community conversation every year. I think it's great for us to say what happened in 2016, but it's really, really more important for me to tell you what's happening today. So in the community conversations that occurred this year, this is what the people in the community said to us. They said the three biggest concerns for them was mental health, education, housing, and a really, really close fourth was health. When we asked the kids at the Youth Summit this year what their biggest concerns were that they were facing, this is what they said to us. Again, mental health was the top one. Lack of emotional support, education, and discrimination, which is very sad, but it's a reality right now in Palm Beach County and probably in Florida. So we think it's really important to engage the parents. And we intentionally did a community conversation and incentivized parents to attend. And we asked the parents, apart from what your concerns are for your community, which is on the far left of the screen, what are your main concerns for your child? Safety was number one, mental health, and self-esteem. So then we asked them, what do you think your child would say what their biggest concern was? And they said they think their child's biggest concern would be around making friends, peer pressure, whether or not they fit in, and then safety, housing, acceptance, and grades came very close behind all of that. So I talked to you a little bit about the fact that in the Birth to 22's website, there's a section that shows data. This is just a few of the data sets that we have there right now that we use to guide our work. We do everything we can to be able to get current data, and we rely on our partners right now. Instead of 60, we have over 300 partners to give us the data set. So some of this data is 2021, some is 2020, but this gives you an idea of what it looks like when you look at developmental delay. And I intentionally pulled a couple of these, Sharon, because I knew who I was talking to. But it also talks about equity, right? Which is important to me. So as I talk about what we do, I think sometimes people get caught up in the weeds of Birth to 22 because people have a really hard time understanding what the structure looks like. So what is Birth to 22? What does that structure look like? And this is really kind of an easy way to show you. We have the steering committee, and they directly oversee the coordination team and the YMP leadership team. I'm the co-chair of both coordination and YMP. And coordination team oversees all of the action teams and the work group. And the YMP works directly with the backbone agency, of which I'm one of them. So who's in the steering committee? Well, really, it's a cross-sector of the community. We make sure that we're inviting everyone to the table to have a voice who is part of this work or should be part of this work. And what they do is they really provide us direction, and they are the champion of the work, and they ensure that we are really paying attention to what's going on within the community. So I talked about action teams, I talked about work groups. So currently there are 10 action teams in operation that addresses the 6 themes that I mentioned earlier, special needs being one of them. The next slides kind of show you what each action team is working on. So the special needs is really kind of led by Unicorn Foundation, and Sharon's a big part of that. And this gives you a really basic snapshot of what they're doing. If you go on the website, you'll see a lot more of the work that's being done by every team. I know I only have 10 minutes, so I'm just going to slide through these slides very quickly. And I will provide this to Sharon so she can share with everyone that wants it. This is safety and justice, and this kind of gives you an idea of the things that they're working for. They are doing a huge amount of work with mentoring and making sure kids have access to support. Health and wellness is also doing an amazing amount of work. Parenting and Role Model just recently got relaunched, and they have new goals, and I would love them to connect with FAU CARD. Becoming Trauma Sensitive is probably the largest team, and it's chaired by Tammy Fields and Seth Bernstein, and they are doing a ton of work in that area. We pay attention to strengthening out of school time, social emotional learning, economic access, and economic access is primarily chaired by Community Services Department, and they're doing it under their Securing Our Future initiative. And there's a conference in December. I'll share with you that information. Education, achieving higher education. And it says disconnected youth, which really disheartens me. I'd like to change that to E2E, which is education to employment pathways for disconnected youth. These are the work groups that also operate under Birth to 22. So the engagement team is really the one that sends out all of the publication. We make sure that you have these lovely PowerPoints that you're seeing and it looks kind of cute. And we have the uniformity, and we are doing the community conversations and getting the data. This is the Child, Youth, and Data team that gets all of the data and posts it on the website. This is the leadership data team that looks at all of the teams all of the meetings that are being held by different agencies. Future Leaders is a youth council, and they are about to get relaunched in a new and improved way, and it's going to be amazing. The Girls Coordinating Council looks at issues that girls are facing, and they are really connected with mental health and juvenile justice right now, and they just had their first symposium, I think like 2 weeks ago. And we do have a racial equity core team, and we are connected with Advancing the Mission, where we provide information to agencies that want to implement equity work in their workplace. So there are a couple of upcoming events. We have the Birth to 22 Task Force meeting. There will be 2 sessions, December 13th and January 21st. It is virtual. And we are looking to change the Youth Master Plan. We're going to be doing a Youth Master Plan 2.0. So we're asking people to come out and give us your perspective on what we really need to be working on and where should we focus our priorities. We have put our money where our mouth is. And not only are we saying these are the big things that need to be done, but we've been funding agencies to provide the services to youth and families. Youth Services Department has funded 48 agencies last year and have done that for the last 3 or 4 years to make sure that they're addressing what the community says is happening. The Securing Our Future Economic Summit was originally slated for September. There was an issue with the weather, and it is now December 5th. It's not too late to register. You can contact James Green if you'd like. Questions? Did I do that in 10 or less? I'm trying.
You did great. Yes, I would like to open it up. You know, we'll take a few minutes if anybody has questions for Geeta or want to know how you can get more involved. I think it's really important, as Geeta mentioned earlier in her slides, that special needs was sort of an afterthought in the planning process. And I think it's really important that, you know, it's not just me being on the steering committee. I think we need to have participation on the different outreach groups. You know, obviously with the parenting and role modeling, there's a perfect match for members of SNAC to get engaged in that work. So any questions?
If there are no questions, I'll put the link in the chat. So anyone who wants to check out the Birth to 22's website with more information.
And can you put your email in the chat as well?
Sure, I can do that. Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much, Geeta. I know, and working with you over these years, that was really impressive to compile that many years into that 10-minute window or time frame. So well done. Okay, next, I know we have another person who has a tight deadline. So Sabrina DeGoyas is with FAU CARD Outreach to the Hispanic Community. So she's going to kick us off with her presentation.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to start my slideshow. Okay. So I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you and working alongside you throughout my time here at FAU. But for those of you that don't know, my name is Sabrina DeGoyes. I am a clinical support specialist with FAU CARD, and I lead our Hispanic Underrepresentation Initiative. I lead FAU CARD's outreach efforts within the Hispanic community, and I work directly with our Spanish-speaking families within our 5-county region that we serve. So Palm Beach, St. Lucie, Martin, Okeechobee, and I'm sorry, and up north in Indian River County. So Hispanic underrepresentation. We know that Hispanic children with autisms are under-identified, delayed identified, and misidentified. Research shows that Hispanic children are 60% underrepresented in ASD today, which is a huge number. Latino children are diagnosed later than white children, receive fewer specialty services, and have higher unmet service needs than Caucasian children. Given that Latino students are increasingly becoming the largest ethnic group of American students, especially down here in South Florida, we see a huge population of Hispanic students. It is crucial to understand how Latino parents advocate, including the barriers and facilitators that they face. And that is a huge part of my role here at FAU CARD. Without identification, Hispanic children with ASD will not receive the services that are needed to maximize their potential. Identification and access to services will make a difference in these child's lives. We know that early intervention services are crucial to a child, and it can make a huge difference in their future. These flyers are part of my initiative. It's part of my outreach effort. I would like to remind all of you that our services are completely free. It's funded by the Department of Education. So we provide supports and resources to families at no cost to them. One of my efforts here at FAU CARD has been to develop a support group for Spanish-speaking parents. We do meet at the last Wednesday of every month. And now we're meeting every other month. We're meeting twice, so Tuesday and Wednesday, because I have broken the group in half from parents 0 to middle school and middle school and up, just because we're covering different topics in relation to their age groups. And I've had the honor of getting to know many parents through this avenue. It has grown since my time here at FAU CARD. I'm proud to say that we now have about 50 participants and about 20 families that participate every month. If anyone is Spanish speaking and would like to join just to check it out, or would like to refer some of their families, please let me know. There is an Eventbrite link for the support group, and I will also post my contact information in the chat in case anyone would like to get a hold of me. But thank you all for your support. Does anyone have any questions specifically on my initiative or on Hispanic underrepresentation? Okay. Well, like I said, I'll post my information in the chat, and thank you so much for letting me speak a little bit today about my initiative. It's so important.
I have one.
Thank you so much,
if I may.
Oh,
sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Alessandra. Were you?
Yes, it's Alessandra from Producers. I am here on behalf of Eric. He's my supervisor. So for this group, the Hispanic group, what is the age of the kids that you usually are helping with?
So I serve every age. We like to say here at FAU CARD that we serve from 0 to 100. At any age they could register with us, and those are the families that also attend my support group. So I have families with younger children that have just received a diagnosis, and I have families who have been through it all and maybe have 17-year-olds or even adults that join the group. And it's a very nice community and collaboration, because the moms of the younger children get to learn and receive resources from moms of older children that have already gone through this process. And through that, we have created a great community and a great support group that have been able to rely on each other. So I'm really proud of that aspect of it. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well, Sabrina, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to turn it over to Maryellen Quinn-Lunny, who's the director at FAU CARD, and she's going to talk about the ASD Mental Health Task Force and the Interagency Initiative to Outreach to Families. You're on mute, Maryellen, you're on mute.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just want to welcome everyone and thank you, Sharon, for the opportunity to be able to speak. We've been working at FAU CARD for probably the last 10 years to be more responsive to the needs of our community and our global community. So we're very excited about some of the things that we're starting and continuing. Just to give you some brief information, FAU CARD is funded by the Florida legislature through a grant through the Department of Education. We provide consultation, training, technical assistance, public education awareness, lots of safety information and partnerships with many different agencies to be able to support children and adults that may wander or elope, and then provide resources to families, educators, in the community. We have 5, as Sabrina had mentioned, we serve 5 counties. There's 7 CARD centers across the state of Florida, and Florida is unique. It's the only state that has this grant, and we serve the entire state. We serve over 6,777 families at our last, as of, I think it was September 30th. So we serve the 5-county region, and all of our services are free. Anyone can make a referral. I received an email from a behavior analyst introducing me to a parent this week so that we could connect with that parent. In order to register families, we do have to have either a diagnosis of autism or a related disability, or an eligibility through the school district state board rule procedure. And all of our resources are free. Some services are only accessed through being a part of register with FAU CARD. We've been working the last 10 years looking at our data, looking at race, ethnicity, and also looking at language, and then looking at gender issues as well. So we've been trying to make sure that all of our materials are in English, Spanish, Creole, and then also Portuguese. We have a large Brazilian population and outreach to all of those communities. So all of our materials, our parent materials, and almost all of our trainings are in all of those languages. In terms of, oops, sorry. I'm having a problem here. So in terms of, Sabrina had spoken a little bit about prevalence of autism, and many of the individuals that we work with, you can reliably identify autism. And I'm here, let me get this here. Autism from even as young as 12 months old. So we're seeing, and looking at our data, we're seeing though children being identified later. So this concerns us. And a big part of what's happening right now is that the state of Florida has moved to the developmental delay diagnosis, and children can have that cross-categorical diagnosis or identification until they're 10 years old now. So looking at prevalence of autism, we know that 1 in 44 children age 8 years old, and we're seeing more children being identified with autism. We're seeing that more boys than girls, 4 times more boys than girls, and that's one of the initiatives I'm going to speak to you about at a committee that we have, is females with autism. And then we have several committees, and you'll hear from Chandra, you heard from Sabrina, and you'll hear from Jeffrey about the fact that we're seeing under-identification of Black children, Hispanic children, and also girls in autism, even though the autism impacts across racial, cultural boundaries and ethnic boundaries. And there's no socioeconomic boundaries for autism. So we all know that late diagnosis is critical. Early diagnosis is critically important, and we need to, not only for the child, ensuring that the child receives evidence-based interventions, but that also the parent receives that support that they need in order to raise their child. Raising a child with autism can be very stressful. And we know that autism progresses over, impacts all learning and across the lifespan. As Sabrina had mentioned, we serve people across currently, I think our youngest is 12 months, our oldest is in his 80s. So we serve across the age span in terms of supports. And we know the importance of early intervention, that early intervention really significantly impacts, and we can see the gains associated with in the areas of cognition, language, and adaptive behavior, as well as the outcomes. We're seeing many of our young adults able to maintain competitive employment in college and successfully navigate through life. So early identification and intervention have lifetime consequences for children with autism and all disabilities. What we've done in some of the research studies that we've done, we've been looking at, we developed an FAU card pediatrician guide, and we partnered with 211 and Help Me Grow to ensure that this guide is in the hands of all of the pediatricians in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast. We are able to do screenings. What we found in our research is that pediatricians can be a barrier to parents. Parents understand when they bring their child for wellness visits, they understand that this child might be different than their other children. And many times the pediatrician doesn't always validate what their concerns are. So we really felt that there's a strong need, and we've been trying to train pediatricians. We will be doing a recorded training and working with Joe DiMaggio to be able to offer in-service points for pediatricians. But this is one guide. This is on our website. We printed these guides, and they're in the hands of almost all of the pediatricians in Palm Beach County right now. Another guide that we developed was for early childhood teachers, so that they understand what the red flags are, and they have some tips on how to talk with parents about this, and what the process is to get a diagnosis, and what the process is for determine eligibility. So this is really important for them to understand that, and we've been in the process of training all of the community daycare centers and working with them to make sure that this is in their hands as well. This again is on our website as well. Many of you know about the Little Owls training that we've been doing. That's been about 7 years now, where since COVID, we moved to online, which has really been somewhat of a blessing, because we've been able to work with families across the country and across the state, and even internationally, parents have been attending this training. And this training is targeted for parents who are new to the world of autism. They're either in the process of being identified their child, or they just were newly identified. So we're looking at parents of children up to 7 years old, typically between 18 months and 5 years. What we also found from our parents is that many of them do not have access to behavioral services. And the behavioral services are very few Medicaid slots. Many of our parents don't have insurance. Many of the behavioral services do not take insurance. So we developed a program through another grant from the Taft Foundation to provide, these are free parent trainings that's taken from the research units of behavioral intervention out of Emory University. And this training is offered. It's it's taught by a licensed clinical social worker and a board certified behavior analyst. And there's a coaching component. So the parents target a behavior that they want, and they work through and receive coaching support on that behavior with the behavior analyst. What I wanted to talk with you today, and many people don't know about, is we have an interagency planning committee to really look at females with autism. We've been working since 2021. The committee consists of representatives from FAU CARD, USF CARD, the L Center, and Florida Gulf Coast University. We've been offering trainings, several different trainings for the last 3 years. We'll have one of the things that we're seeing and the research is emerging on is the high incidence of eating disorders among females with autism. So we'll be doing a training at the ASD Mental Health Task Force in February for that. We also, yesterday at our meeting, our monthly meeting, we met with Dina Zenner, who is a clinician. She works solely with females with autism. She's out of Toronto. And we're engaging her to do a training at our ASD mental health conference in May, which all of these trainings are free. This is one of the trainings that we offered last year. We offered 3 trainings. We have 4 scheduled for this year. Masking is a huge issue where girls camouflage and try to hide their feelings and try to fit in. So that was something that we offered. We have another training that we offered in October on navigating a later diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, and it was for parents. We have a training coming up in February for clinicians on how to support females. And one of the things that we're having this presented by Cheryl Checkers, who's one of the licensed mental health therapists that works with us, along with a young woman with autism. Whenever we can, we try to bring in that lived experience and to help us all understand the struggles that these women experience through their lifetime. The next piece I wanted to talk with you about is the ASD Mental Health Task Force. This task force and many of the things that we do, Chandra will be talking with you about another task force that we have. What we tried to do is engage the community in these areas. In 2018, 2019, we formed this group after that fall. A young man that had just been newly identified committed suicide. And the suicide rate is it's huge among people with autism. We just finished a project with the school district where we have a training for licensed mental health clinicians on suicidality and autism, and just completed a training for educators on the signs and working and how to identify suicide among individuals with autism. We received some funding from another grant, the Mangorian Foundation, and we have 3 purposes, 3 missions that we've identified to increase awareness of mental health comorbidity in the ASD population. 70% of the individuals with autism, especially if they're level 1 higher functioning, tend to have experienced depression and anxiety. So we have many talented licensed mental health therapists and professionals in the community, but many of them don't have the experience of working with people with autism. So we want to increase their understanding. We want to increase the use of evidence-based support and treatment for individuals with autism and mental health comorbidities. So we hired Cheryl Checkers. Many of you may know her. She's a licensed mental health therapist, also worked for CARD many years ago. And she started working with us, and we offer every month, we offer a meeting, and we provide CEUs. We've coordinated through Sandy Pines. The task force meets the first Thursday of the month. I noticed many of you are on that task force from 10 to 11:30. It is online. We currently have over 300 individuals, professionals registered and receiving the monthly meeting agenda. And if you're interested, any of you are welcome to come. I put Gabriella's email address there. Gabriella is our graduate assistant, and she sends all the meeting notices out to everyone. And the fact that it's online makes it very convenient, and we are able to provide CEUs. One of the things that we're looking for funding right now is to be able to offer a course at FAU, which is cross-department, with the mental health department, the social work department, and the special ed department on working with individuals with autism and how to support them through their mental health journeys. Our next meeting, we meet the first Thursday of the month, is December 1st from 10 to 11:30. And we have Ron Sanderson providing a presentation. He's a young man with autism and has experienced depression. And again, he's sharing his life experiences or lived experiences struggling through having autism and as well as experiencing depression. So I invite any of you are welcome to go there. And I know that we will be having, I don't want to take up too much time because I have other colleagues that'll be presenting, but I'm happy, my email address is there. I'm happy to provide any information that you might need. And thank you again, Sharon, for allowing us this opportunity to share some of the things that we're doing at FAU CARD.
Boy, you all have been busy. Are there any questions for Maryellen? I think we're going to just continue with the with the pattern here. And Maryellen, which of your colleagues was going to present?
I think Chandra and Jeffrey, I think, are going to do a joint presentation. And I'm so glad to have Chandra and Jeffrey joined us not too long ago. And I'm very excited. We consider Sabrina, Chandra, and Jeffrey part of our outreach team, and very excited to have them here.
Thank you so much. Can you all see my screen? Awesome. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chandra McKinney-Clarke, and I am a Black autism advocate. As Maryellen mentioned, I am one part of our dynamic trio of FAU CARD's minority outreach team. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you some details about the Black Underrepresentation in Autism initiative that I actually lead. All right, so as Maryellen mentioned to you all earlier, FAU CARD provides free consulting, training, and support for people with autism and related disabilities, as well as their families, professionals, and the professionals that serve them. Our services focus on how to best help those with autism and the people around them to optimize their potential and improve their quality of life. Now, although there are 7 CARD centers around the state of Florida, FAU CARD is the only center with a Black ASD identification research expansion project and a Black outreach specialist, myself, that is here to address the underrepresentation initiative. Now, the initiative helps to spread awareness and implement an action plan to change autism in the Black community. Now, I want to point out that today, when I use the term Black, I'm referring to a variety of different racial groups, from African Americans to Caribbean Americans, to those who are from the Caribbean, those who are from Haiti, as well as anybody of African descent. Now, I want to bring awareness of the problem. And Sabrina, mentioned many of the same things that I'm going to share with you relating to Hispanics. But research has found that Black and white parents actually raise concerns about their children's health to their healthcare providers at similar ages. However, Black children with autism are often under-identified, delayed identified, or misidentified. So compared with white children, Black children are often diagnosed at later ages. Black children obtain a diagnosis of autism 1.6 years later than white children. So without being identified properly, children will not receive access to evidence-based interventions, progress academically, or progress socially. So the earlier a child with ASD is identified and receives the appropriate services, the better their prognosis and the outcome will be for them. So awareness, as you see, is very vital because we want to increase the number of Black children identified with ASD versus a high percentage of them being misidentified with other disorders. So our Black Underrepresentation Initiative aims to not only educate the community regarding these disparities, but we want to improve the lives of families who have Black children on the spectrum. But in order to do this, we need your help, everyone. So now that you are aware of the details of this initiative, please let us know if we can share this information with your organization or any organization. Now, as an outreach specialist, I obviously conduct outreach. I also can conduct different trainings. So I'd love to be able to share this information. I actually host two support groups, well, two groups. One group is a parent/caregiver support group. This support group meets on the last Wednesday of every month during the evening. For families with Black children on the spectrum, or even if they suspect they may be on the spectrum, they can join this group. Furthermore, I actually also host a special task force. This task force meets also the last Wednesday of the month. However, this task force meets during the mornings. And this task force is basically for members of the community who serve this constituency. So please let me know if you are interested in joining this task force, or please share this information, my contact information, with anyone that may be interested in joining the task force, or anyone who could utilize the services of my parent support group. Does anybody have any questions about this initiative? All right, I'm going to share my information in the chat, and I guess I will pass things over to my colleague, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Chandra. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so good afternoon and bonsoir. My name is Jeffrey Lucas. I'm the bilingual clinical associate with FAU CARD. I'm very excited to be a part of this team, and also to be able to be a part of helping my community as far as the Haitian community. What I do, or what I will be doing at FAU CARD as a clinical associate, is making contact with parents interested in support, helping them understand the terminology and translation. We know how that can be with the Haitian community. A lot of the times, what they don't understand, they can look at it as, you know, as some type of issue as far as like legality. With what they don't understand. So helping them kind of understand where that, you know, what things are being said, and letting them know that they're not in trouble. It's only strictly for the child services or support, will kind of help them alleviate any worries that they may have. What I would do is I'll be going through the intake process with them, helping them register if they're interested, so they'll be able to go ahead and connect with a clinician. What I'll be doing also is following up with these families. So if they need any other supports, if they're interested in trainings, any other type of community services within the community and the county, we'll be able to go ahead and connect them with those particular services. There we go. All right. So some of the issues in the Haitian community that I wanted to bring up that'll help us kind of understand where they're coming from is, first off, with children with autism and families who live in immigrant communities face barriers of language, class, and of course, stigma. A lot of these stigmas, you know, stop them from continuing what they have going on in life, whether if that's work, because they're constantly trying to understand their child without these resources and without the support. So it can cause a little bit of an issue with them trying to get a hold of their life. Cultural differences can interfere or delay diagnosis of autism. As Chandra was saying, that, you know, the diagnosis and being misidentified, with the Haitian community, it may look different than it will with your American community. So being able to identify those things before they get before they get worse is very important into helping them with the diagnosis. For some Haitian families, a disability is not something to be accepted, but rather a malady that hopefully will be cured through prayer and other healing practices. Haitians, the Haitian community, they can be very superstitious when it comes to certain things. They can look at that being a curse or whatnot. So they have to kind of approach it with prayer and other indigenous practices just to kind of give just to see if they can heal that child from their disability, when, being able to sit down with that parent and offer them those services and helping them understand it's not a curse, it's not that, it's natural, those things happen, will help them kind of shy away from those stigmas and be able to go ahead and, live a decent life without worrying about a misdiagnosis, and being able to support those families as well. So bridging the gap with FAU card. So how will we do it? We would build rapport with those families, educate them, let them know what FAU card is about. Like I was saying before, not necessarily just giving them the paperwork, explaining them the paperwork, telling them this is what this is. This is not what this has nothing to do with legalities. Nobody will look at your statements. We're just trying to help. We're just trying to help the child. Outreach to spread the knowledge is very important. As if we can get that knowledge out there about FAU card and the services that we offer, and to let them know that it is a free service, will only enlighten them and encourage them as well when it comes to being okay with getting those services from us. And of course, providing services or providing the support to those in need in those areas. So where, the northern areas, as far as Riviera Beach, Lake Park, other, areas within the West Palm Beach and so forth, if we can get more word out there in different languages, then we can help more people. So this is my contact information. I'll definitely put that in the chat as well. So if anybody has any questions for me, or if they feel like they need any support with any Haitian families, please let me know and I'll be willing to help. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for presenting. It looks like you guys have cast a very wide net in being able to identify and connect with families across, what is it, three counties? Are you 3 counties or are you five counties? So that's excellent, and definitely spanning across the ages. So this is great information. If there are no questions for Jeffrey, you can always put your questions in the chat. But our final presenter today is Kerry Rawn. She's a secondary program planner for ESE in Transition, and she's here to share some information with us about CITY, which is the Council for In Transition Youth of Palm Beach County. So Kerry, I will let you take it away.
All right, thank you, Sharon. Oh, I can't share my screen. It's been disabled for me.
You should be set.
Got it, thank you. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, great. So like Sharon introduced me, thank you so much. My name is Kerry Rawn, and I work for the Exceptional Student Education ESE Department for the Palm Beach County School District. And I am the secondary program planner for Transition. And I'm here to talk about CITY, the Council for In Transition Youth, which was created in 2008, I believe, before my time, but I'm continuing on. So if anyone is new here, just in case, what is transition? So transition is specific to students or children with disabilities. And due to legislation changes, they have moved the timeline for planning for transition to 12 years old. So transition begins at 12 and ends when FAPE ends for any school district in the state of Florida at age 22. And it's basically the process of moving a child into adulthood and everything that comes along with it. And we monitor that process through the transition individual IEP, or the Transition Individual Education Plan, which we like to call TIEP. So in the Exceptional Education Department, we use acronyms for everything. So it's the TIEP. And the transition services that are covered are post-secondary education, vocational education, any type of employment training, adult services, independent living, and community services. And this is all coordinated by the Transition IEP team, which does include the student. At age 12, the student is now involved in their IEP, which is a wonderful thing because, in my opinion, next to their parents, they have the most information. So the Council for In-Transition Youth, or we call it CITY, is an interagency cooperation, and basically it's just our local agencies and organizations. We come together so we all know how to support students through those transition years. Every student is an individual with individual strengths and barriers, and we want to be a group that we can turn to assist every single student with any disability or any eligibility. And we do meet once a month, the second Tuesday during the school year, so September through May or June, whenever the school year ends. Every agency or organization that is a city member, and it varies year to year, but we have about 25 agencies and organizations that participate, and we provide updates, any new happenings, any goings on within their particular organization or agencies. We do sometimes have case studies, which I will bring with all levels of confidentiality, the highest level of confidentiality, a student to the group, because we are struggling with the barriers that the students have for moving forward with transition. We also work on projects and initiatives that support our students within the school district, ages 12 to 22. And I send out weekly emails to all city members and as well as schools with all of any type of community happenings that will support our students. One of our major initiatives that we have every year, we're back this year due to COVID, we've been out of it, but we have the Transition Open House events. We have 5, and Palm Beach State College is wonderful enough to help us host that, and all of our city member organizations and agencies come in, and they have a table, and we invite parents to come in and do an open house learning session where they move from table to table, meet all of the different organizations and agencies, and learn how we can help their child. We have had 3 so far. We're going to have one tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow. That right? November 17th. So I'm sorry, that's Thursday. I get my days mixed up. Thursday out in Belle Glade. And we are going to reschedule the Boca event for the 3rd time due to hurricanes sometime in early December. So we make sure that all of our schools and parents receive that information so they can come in and meet all of our city members and learn all of the great resources and information for transition. We also have a city placemat. This is in revision, but it basically lists all of our city members and all of the contact information. We provide this to schools in a digital and paper-based format so they can hand it out to parents during their TIEP meetings. So parents have this at their fingertips as well. The front side lists all the city members, and the back side of that placemat lists additional resources for parents. We also, for city, have created posters that are located in schools, which cover employment planning, how to earn vocational certificates, how to develop independent skills. There's planning. We have a middle school poster, which for planning for high school, and we offer pathways for college and employment. These are all posters that are most of our ESE contacts at our middle and high schools have their walls decorated with this, and some schools have it throughout their schools. We are planning to create mini posters to have to provide to parents digitally as well. That's in the works. And here's just a small example of one of those posters. Just this is a developing adult independent skills, the different types of categories that we need to think about when our students are moving from childhood into adulthood, and everything that we think about within those categories. So with health and recreation, identifying favorite sports or physical activities, exercise or play, understanding basic nutritional needs, just things to think about within specific categories for independence. And that's it for me. And stop sharing. There we go. And so I am one small department within the ESE department, and my focus is on transition, all eligibilities, disabilities, 12 to 22. So if you have any questions, I'll put my email in and reach out.
Perfect. And if I can ask, if all the presenters could forward their PowerPoint or their presentations, we'll make sure we get that out to the group. But are there any questions for Kerry or any of our presenters? All right. I do want to mention to everybody, I'm going to try and share my screen, but I've got so many screens open. I hope I share the right one with you. Let me see. So our virtual hub has been revised. I'm not finding it. Hold on. Where did it go? We did have it updated this past year. Now let's see if I can find it to share it. Here we go. Oh, that's okay. So we have revised it, so it's a much cleaner look. We're averaging close to 1,000 visitors a month. What I need our coalition's help on is up here. You'll see where it says user log on. We have about 800 people who have registered with a profile for us. This is a great way for us to get information out to the community. In addition, we've got our age-specific content so that if families are looking for information, we do need everyone on the coalition, their help in making sure that the 211 program database is up to date, because you'll see at the top, if I move us around here, when you click on this 211 link, it's taking you specifically to the 211 hotline. So if they don't have information, let's just, for example, we're looking for educational opportunities for individuals with special needs. And let's say we're looking at adult education. There are very few, well, this one actually looks pretty good now. But there are 19 programs, but this is, as they update their database, our database is updated. So it's really important that all of the coalition members make sure they're registered with 211, but also log in, create a profile account for yourself on the website. And then once you have a profile, you'll be able to submit events, which we can have an entire calendar where we will have training events, we will have fun activities for families. We would have that one calendar compiled for all of us. And then you're also able to submit blogs that we are rotating through on a regular basis. But you'll see the site, it's much easier to navigate. It's a lot cleaner. But key thing is, you will notice there is no www. So it is just specialneedspbc.info. If you add in the www, it will tell you that the site is not functional. And I found that out from Jennifer at 211, who alerted us that the site might be down. But make sure we're sharing this with families. There's really great information when we talk about adolescence and transition. There's really you know, very good information. There are videos talking about natural age-related milestones, talking about what happens when you have a concern and where to go. So make sure that we're sharing this resource. Again, without publicity, we're still getting about close to 1,000 hits or 1,000 users a month. And there was a lot of time and energy spent by members of this coalition to compile all of this data, and it's a great resource for the community, but it could be a better resource if we all get in and have profiles, and let's start generating some more content, especially in terms of the calendars, so that families know what's going on, and we all know what's going on, and we don't schedule events on top of our other coalition members. So that was that. December, we will not be having a coalition meeting. No, I can't get back here. Let's see. Okay, now I can't stop share. We will not be having a meeting in December. We will see you guys all in January. We want to wish you a very happy holiday. Happy New Year. Hope the holidays are safe and everybody has a great time. Really appreciate working with you all on this group. And if you have any questions, reach out to me and I'm happy to get you the answers. Is there anybody else with any groundbreaking news that they want to share, because we didn't get to share at the beginning? So if you've got some groundbreaking news, you just can't wait to share with us, you can unmute yourself and let us know. All right, well, thank you all for coming today, and we'll look forward to seeing you in January. Bye-bye.